Hi, I'm Rick Wagner. I have something really special I'd like to show you. I want to introduce you to a truly magnificent property in my hometown, Buffalo, New York. I'm talking about the 145-year-old Richardson Olmsted campus, also known as the Buffalo State Asylum for the Insane. The Richardson Complex is recognized as a National Historic Landmark. HH Richardson was only in his early 30s when he received this commission and became the most famous architect in America at the time. The complex is a huge facility and the largest building of his career. The grounds cover 200 acres, and the buildings extend half a mile from one end to the other, incorporating over 500,000 square feet. The buildings on the left house the men, and the women's facilities on the right. The centerpiece of the complex is the main administration building with its two iconic copper-topped 180-foot-tall towers. Richardson was the initiator of the Romanesque revival, drawing on Victorian Gothic and Romanesque motifs. He used solid stone walls and arches to create imposing, grounded structures, but was also innovative in his use of space and bringing light and air into these buildings. Frederick Law Olmsted, who also designed Central Park in New York City, designed the grounds and gardens throughout the campus. The plan developed the asylum grounds to integrate the landscape with the medical treatment of patients in hopes of a cure for insanity. This was a remarkable innovation, marking a shift away from the incarceration treatment of mental illness. The original psychiatric center was built for 660 patients. While the original intentions of the facility were good, the asylum quickly became overwhelmed by the numbers of mentally ill patients. By 1927, the hospital was overcrowded and without ample room to complete the treatment. According to their plans, the complex fell back into treating the mentally ill with old, outdated practices, which were rather horrifying at times. It is thought that the ghosts of patients who died within the complex still frequent the facility today. This photo is from 1880, when only the east wing of the Buffalo State Asylum had been completed. Due to an economic depression, there was a 10-year break in construction, leaving the hospital a bit lopsided for more than a decade. The full complex wasn't completed until 1896. The Richardson opened its doors to patients in 1880. 219 patients were admitted the first year, 122 men and 97 women. As a Kirkbride Hospital institution, the property was built to create a healthy and positive environment for moral treatment. The idea was that the treatment should include duties to give patients a sense of responsibility and purpose. Besides its own loom, the complex had its own woodwork shops, carpentry shop, apothecary, chapel, music rooms, gymnasium, libraries, laundry room, and even a baseball team. As throughout the complex, men and women were separated. There were also separate men's and women's dining halls. Patients were encouraged to spend their time interacting through activities like bingo in the wide corridors rather than in their rooms. The complex was built before electricity, and because light and airflow were considered integral to the healing process, natural light fills the 210-foot-long hallways. The male pavilions encouraged exercise and outdoor activities to promote better health. The asylum was home to thousands of people, including patients, doctors, nurses, attendants, and staff. The patients all left the complex around 1973, and though the place was still a state-owned facility, it was suffering from neglect and disrepair. Corridors led to wings of dissolving patient rooms, scattered wheelchairs, metal tables, and hospital beds throughout, a reminder that these corridors once housed hundreds of people. Preservation for the future was realized and secured with the 2017 opening of the Hotel Henry inside the Richardson Complex. An article from Road Culture read, "From historic hospital to hip hotel, Buffalo's formerly abandoned asylum once again welcomes overnight visitors." Only 3 of the buildings had been repurposed into a luxury hotel, and the remaining are in a state of suspended ruin since 1974. Here is a before and after look of one of the renovated hallways. The Hotel Henry is a stunning boutique lodge complete with lavish furnishings, a farm-to-table restaurant, and a luxury gym. The hotel is housed across 3 buildings with a total of 88 rooms and some parts remaining untouched. Former patient rooms were combined to create the guest rooms. While lead designer Stephen Brockman admits there are lots of urban legends about the building that claim it's haunted, he assures that you will hopefully only encounter friendly ghosts during your stay. So there it is. I actually made it to the hotel soon after it opened. And I brought along my video camera thinking most assuredly I would discover something supernatural along the way. The outside was so spectacular that if I was ever going to write my next horror story, I would have to shoot it there. So I ran inside, I ran up to the concierge. I had so many questions. My enthusiasm was over the top, and I said to her, well, okay, I made it. I took a deep breath. And I said, I've waited so long to see inside this amazing building. I have read the history. I've witnessed all of the renovations that were going on, and I'm ready to hear the stories now. I brought along my video camera to record them all. The woman just sat there behind the counter and looked at me like I was one of the patients from the long ago Asylum. I ignored her glare, and I started in with, so do you have to tell the guests that the room that they were about to stay in belonged to an insane person from the 1800s? And how do people sleep here at night? Aren't they afraid to stay here? How many ghosts of the old patients are still here in the hotel? And what about the footsteps going up and down the hallways at night? That's always a giveaway. And I stopped. I said, well, why don't you start? She said, I'm sorry, sir, there are no ghost stories here. What? I am sure every single person that stays here has something happen. She said, no, sir. There's no ghost stories here because we painted and installed new drywall. I was speechless. Is there a company that makes ghost-proof drywall? Do they have a secret formula to keep ghosts out? I could see if you put garlic in the walls to keep out vampires, or lined it with kryptonite to keep Superman's X-ray vision from peering in, but there's nothing you can do to keep ghosts out. So I asked her, I said, is it okay if I just interview some of the guests on the way out? And received a firm no. So now it's closed. After all of its spiritual disclosures and renovations, the Hotel Henry has closed. Was it because of the pandemic, or was it because the ghosts didn't like the guest list? So now you tell me, how many ghosts did you see?